Kṛṣṇa. Good morning to all the illustrious devotees, my humble obeisances. And congratulations for getting up early again, and yet another day making human life a success by doing bhakti sadhana. And we're continuing our discussions about making Japa great again, because it's a daily endeavor. And today is the last day that we'll have the Japa circle. So at some point, if you have a realization from the series that we've had since Jagannath Puri, any one prominent thought that you want to offer, I'm sure everyone else will be appreciative of the distilled essence that you've taken. And today I just want to mention a principle that's very helpful in staying in the moment and continuing chanting despite the phenomena that the mind will drag us in various ways, as Kṛṣṇa mentions in the Bhagavad Gitā. So that's a principle called applied procrastination. Everybody knows how to procrastinate because all you do is just put things off until the next time. And the same principle can be applied in staying fixed in japa, because when the mind comes with some other idea, besides chanting, like could you name 3 things the mind might suggest to say, rather than doing this, let's go do that? Sleep. Sleep now. It's the sleep now movement. So there could be sleep. That's definitely one of the ones that's like, I'm tired, I want to go sleep. That can also be overcome by going to bed earlier. It is important to manage sleep in order to have good japa. What's another one? What? You want to go talk Prajalpa instead? Somebody's out on the balcony talking about some juicy gossip and you don't want to miss it. What's the third one? What? Planning, yeah. There might be some plans you have to make, something like that. And it could be a correspondence that you forgot, and then it comes into your mind that, if I don't do it now, this person's going to hate me. And then I can't tolerate it, so I give up chanting and I go away. So that's 4. But there could be 1,000 that we could name, possibly. So the principle of applied procrastination was showed to us by Haridas Thakur, the Namacharya. When a prostitute came, he didn't say never, he just said later. And the word later is really helpful because there's always some later, and instead of saying no, and whatever you resist persists, you just say, sure, no problem, but not right now. I'll just wait till later on, and just put it off. So that can be really helpful. And that works for many different kinds of discipline, like if you don't want to eat too much, in the mind, you just say, well, there's going to be another meal later. I'll make up for it next time. And I'll eat less. I'll eat half as much this time, and next time I'll eat twice as much. But later never comes. You just keep putting it off. It's the same with taxes. You're supposed to defer taxes till later when you're a lower tax bracket. And also there's a saying that justice delayed is justice denied. So it's a tactic in the legal circles that it's like, okay, not right now, we'll deal with it later, and you keep putting obstacles so it's further away. And then there's another principle that helps, which is something they teach in accounting, which is especially for accounts receivable. It's called the law of diminishing intent. Because the longer you wait to collect on a bill, the less people are willing to pay it, because the time factor makes that their will less strong. So just delaying and staying in the process of chanting. Any comments on applied procrastination? Yes, Prabhu?
Sense gratification, but it's like a really interesting point that you brought up that we procrastinate austerity and we procrastinate like doing sacrifices, but this is us procrastinating like sense gratification for a higher purpose. So I thought it's interesting. We can dovetail the procrastination propensity.
Right. It's a university degree that you can get now. There's math and there's applied math. There's applied procrastination. I have an MS in applied procrastination. I put everything off that's non-essential. So that's one of the ways to get through a whole human life without getting waylaid, is to keep putting off the things that are non-essential. And it helps one to be efficient. And so if we prioritize, this is the most essential thing, it's like, yeah, everything's fine, no problem, I'll get to you later. Yeah. Yes, Shamalangi.
I was thinking we do the same thing for kids when they want something, like badly. We say, okay, later, not now, and they forget later. So it's similar. We tell our mind that later.
Yeah. Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. The applied procrastination idea reminds me of something I read in this book called Zen Guitar, which is like a philosophy of how to like be a musician. And it's the idea of like doing the right thing just one time. It's like just take one bead, one syllable, one mantra, and then just say it right that time. And then you don't have to worry about any other times. But if you keep up that habit, then it'll like snowball, and then you'll keep doing the right thing continuously.
That's nice. Yeah, very much in the same vein. My friend Satyadev Prabhu, who's very into fixing the mind in the present moment, I think he just wrote a book. It's not published yet, but I think it's called Just for Now. And it's one of his mantras that he tells himself when he's chanting. Just for now, I'll pay attention. Later on, maybe my mind can do whatever it wants. But just for now, pay attention to this one bead and try to keep coming back to that over and over again and putting off everything else. Okay, thank you very much for indulging me. And let's chant for a while in this beautiful environment in Mayapur Dham. Do we even need that one light now that the sun's coming up? Let's try without it. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna. Maybe talk just for a couple minutes. So, Prabhupada describes how there are 3 stages of chanting. One, he says, is the offensive stage. Another is, the next higher is clearing stage, and the topmost is chanting with love. And there are various divisions, and we're subjected to those divisions, or we are situated in any of those divisions because we're tatastha. We can transfer ourselves from one zone to another. Similarly, there are zones in the material world. There's, in general, the material world, and then there's the viraja, which is kind of a middle situation between the material and spiritual worlds, and then there's the spiritual world. And in any given chanting period, there's chanting where one's mind is absorbed in the material world, or it's clearing, we're kind of in the middle, and we can have a glimpse of seeing that I'm trying, and I'm getting somewhat of an awareness that I'm no longer engaging in material thought. I'm trending towards the holy name. But then we can break through to the other side where we're only hearing the holy name. These 3 stages are prominent divisions of the material world in our general stages of chanting, and also in any given session. And my observation is it's much easier if one can get into the top stage. I'm not saying that you have to be situated in pure love of God, but at least beyond the turbulence where we're struggling. Because the other thought is that the material world has these potencies. One of them is called the throwing potency, and the other is called the covering potency. When we're exercising our free will to be separate from Krishna, material nature obliges us and moves us to a far-flung place away from Krishna, and then gives us a facility to be covered over, so we forget Krishna. But Krishna's energies are all powerful, whether material or spiritual. Ultimately, they're all spiritual. It just depends on our relationship with them. But in the same way that we can be thrown from our spiritual stature into one in which we're bewildered by the material energy, we can also be thrown into the spiritual energy as well and covered by yoga maya just as easily. And it's a matter of moving from one stage to the next so that we allow ourselves to be thrown back in. It's not all up to us. We're only minutely independent where we put our attention, and what we put our attention to will determine how the energies work upon us. And if we are determined, we can situate ourselves in such a way that we're thrown into the other side, past the maelstrom of the material mind and its churnings, and be covered over by yogamaya and protected in that region. And it's also much easier than struggling with the mind. If you notice that chanting when there's distraction is torturous, but in those moments when you can break through and actually only hear the holy name, there's no problem. There's no difficulty at all. You just feel, hey, I don't want to be anywhere else. So you can move across into the other side. Does anyone want to give any reflection on that? Who is that, Sukeshri? Okay, please do.
I was just reflecting, Prabhu, that every day in the morning I just enjoy this absolutely. Everybody sitting and chanting together. And when we start chanting, the mind is all over the place. But as you just said, sometimes there's glimpse of jumping over to the other side, and where you actually can hear only the mantra, and the mind is also very calm, and actually the mind enjoys that more than all the other chatter. But I always wish that if I can do that every single day, for every single mantra and every single round. So I do have a question. I was just wondering, I know in the past you said 40 years, but I was just thinking, when will is it time based, or is it more our effort based, where we'll surely be in the zone all the time when we are chanting?
Well, you remember one of the sutras that we examined from Srila Prabhupada was, he said, you can achieve this by determination and effort. So one may be determined and put more effort into one's studies, and you can notice the result. If you study for 40 hours before your test, it's very different than studying for 4 hours the night before. And so similarly, if we put more effort into chanting, then we can definitely take the fruit of that, or it'll be more effective, for sure. Yes, Prabhupada Priya.
Hare Krishna. I was kind of intrigued by this concept of being thrown to the spiritual side and covered by yoga maya. What does that actually look like?
In any given situation, because we're tatastha, we can either be carried away by the material energy, like yesterday when we were coming home from the program, our driver, who's quite intent on getting back sooner than later, and taking every advantage of cutting it in and out. As we came around a bend, somebody ill-advisedly made a U-turn right in the middle of the road, and we had to slam on our brakes. And then the driver our driver rolled down his window and had a few choice words for the other people. And they had a few choice words back, even though they were obviously at fault. And then I just saw the situation escalated, so they locked eyes and, insults, and we were trying to get the driver to keep moving. But he couldn't help himself at that point. He was just carried away by the material energy. And at any given time, if we contemplate the material energy, jayato vishayam pumsam sangasteshu pajayate, there's a way that the flow of that concentration pulls us away. And in a similar way, when we focus on the holy name or on serving Krishna, we can also be pulled away. Vidura, when he was insulted by Duryodhana, he could have done any number of things, but he chose to use that as a way to be pulled away by Krishna into a long pilgrimage. And Prabhupada says that the material and spiritual energy were working simultaneously. Material energy was working on Duryodhana, who was becoming more angry and attached because of his false ego. And Vidura was pulled away into the spiritual world by the dint of the fact that he was sincerely trying, and he was pulled the other direction. So pulled we will be. We're always pulled one way or another because we're just little fragments. But it's our choice which way to be pulled. If we situate ourselves in a way that Krishna can pull us into the spiritual energy, we will. And what it looks like is that we feel compelled, in the true sense of the word, or impelled, by the power of the internal potency. And Krishna pulls us in. Sometimes people dance, or they, feel ecstatic symptoms. These are ways in which, or they feel like, I want to give myself in a life of service. It means we're being pulled into the internal energy. You accept that?
I guess being covered by Yoga Maya, because we hear about how, the Brajavasis become covered by Yoga Maya, and they have no awareness of Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They just love Krishna. Is that a part of it? Or?
Yeah, that's a deep relationship. In the Gita, Krishna is Yoga Maya Samavrita, and Prabhupada explains Yoga Maya, Mahamaya, same energy. It's just replied. It's called Hladatapatraya. Jiva Goswami says that the influences of the spiritual world, the Sandini, Hladini, and Samvit, get translated on this side of the Viraja as Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. Same energies, only perverted on this side. So once we resituate ourselves towards the spiritual world, we can be pulled from the three modes of material nature into the Hladini potency and Samvit, etc. It's just different stages, that's all. Different levels. It's unlimited. Any last points?
Prabhu, this is really encouraging when you said that you could be pulled on the other side as well, because most of the time when we are thinking of chanting and clearing, you're only worried about how you don't want to be on this side, but it's really encouraging that it's possible that you could be on the other side too. So thank you so much.
It's just as stronger. It's just a matter of where we put ourselves, where we're going to be pulled away. If you stand in the wrong place, you'll get pulled away in the wrong way. So if we put ourselves in the right place, Krishna will pull us away. We don't have to do all the work. Just as we don't do all the work coming into the material world, we just desire it, and Maya does the rest and says, you want this? Here you go. And if we put ourselves in the right place at the bus stop of the spiritual world, we'll get pulled into that also. Get dragged along by Krishna. Prabhu? The tow-away zone? Yeah. Downtown San Francisco, I parked in the wrong place many years ago, and I got my car towed. And then I vowed not to go into San Francisco ever again. I broke that vow about 5 years after, but I was so incensed by having my car towed. But there's a tow-away zone for the mind. if you park in the wrong place, the mind can be towed away unceremoniously, and then it's really hard to get it back. I had to pay about $400 just for that little incident. And similarly, if we park our minds in the wrong place and they get towed, and then say, you want your mind back? Well, you got to pay a fine now, and it's better if we situate in such a way that we get pulled away by the holy name. So Krishna is the attractor. Kṛṣṇa means that, the one who pulls us away. And Balaram certainly, Sankarsana, he has the power to pull us. It's all pulling energy can pull us right into the spiritual world. So if we just keep inching towards it, even if our will is really weak, you just keep going towards the edge and say, Krishna, I don't have the guts to jump off, but I'm so close. If you just push me, that would be okay. Just try to get as close to the edge as possible as you can stand, and then Krishna will pull you in. And then you'll be helplessly enveloped by the spiritual energy. What do you think? Okay. I was also thinking, we have to do the effort. Like in academics, there's a saying, publish or perish. Unless you keep writing, you got to keep churning out ideas, and you have to keep publishing them and putting them out there. And we have to do the same thing, publish or perish, because the material energy has such a strong pull on us as long as we have a material body. And so unless we're, what's the parallel to publish or perish? That we have to keep producing spiritually every day? I would think about it. But there's a way we have to make the effort every day to try to put ourselves in that position where we can be pulled. Gaur Premanande Haribo, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur. Okay. So this is the end, but I wanted to give you a quote. There are many more, and maybe I'll bring them up during class, about this idea of being dragged. And here's one from the Nectar of Instruction, in which Prabhupada writes in the third verse, devotional service is so pure and perfect that once one has begun it, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. There's more there, but the idea of being dragged, I just wanted to document a little bit. And as I say, there's more documentation that I'll give later, probably in class. But this dragging process means that we can go the easy way or the hard way. And, I just remember when I was a kid, once my mom told me if I was good when I went to get some shot, then she'd give me ice cream afterwards. And I got there and I freaked out, and they had to drag me in for the shot. I don't think I got the ice cream. And so, like, if we're able to make ourselves more available to being dragged, then it's less of a dragging process than it is just being pulled in as much as possible, more cooperative. That's really a lot of what the Hare Krishna mantra is saying, Krishna, I'm available. I'm ready for service. Please just, take me without any. I won't give any resistance. I'll just go. If we can do that, then we go very quickly. So this is the last make Japa great again. Lightning round, 2 from this side, 2 from that side. One thing you're taking away from the Japa circles, since Nirkula's gone to get flowers anyway. Yes, Prabhu.
Just one of your beginning points and kind of like the whole theme for the Make Japa Great Again. For me, my Japa's kind of been like, it's not good, but I'm like okay with it. It's just like kind of like flat. And one of the points you made was that that's not actually possible. If it's not getting better, it's fading. And like me thinking that I'm just going to stay steady with like this not that good Japa is actually, it's just getting worse over time. So I appreciate how like even just the concept of like having like short lectures during a Japa period is like driving the point that we need to always be improving it. Sometimes I think like, oh, I'm just going to do the same thing I did yesterday when I chant. It's like a loop of every day. But I like how we're pushing.
Nice. And the admonition that went with that is fear the fade. And also, we should always fear niyamagraha, which is that we're going along doing something, but we're not analyzing how we're doing or why we're doing. It's not illegal. In fact, it's recommended that we question why we're doing things on a regular basis. Don't just take it for granted that now I know what I'm doing. Yeah, nice point. Thank you. Quick, yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I really liked your point that you made, like one of the first Japa circles, which was forced meditation, because I noticed that if I'm not here for Japa circle, my rounds, they just deteriorate because I have so much else to do in the day, and my mind always finds more things to do that isn't my Japa. So if I'm here now, I have no choice but to do my Japa, which is really helpful.
Nice. And wherever we are, wherever we go, if we find a way to have that same situation where we force ourselves to finish and to do the effort to get into that zone, then we'll be making advancement. Otherwise, we'll be going down. Then one here, one there. Last points. Yes? Is that Benny? Haribol, Benny.
Haribol. There were a lot of points that have been covered during this Japa retreats over the days. What I can get home is we just need to focus on chanting attentively, distinctively, with a lot of feeling of emotions, separation and love in our heart. And keep endeavoring, and even with the little increments that we talk about, but keep endeavoring and making those active effort to remain concentrate. One example that one Prabhu was telling me about concentration is like Arjuna when he's in the battle with his bow, and each single mantra has to be like that level of concentration. And that's what.
Thanks, Benny. I like how you call it a Japa retreat. And my point is we can make it every day when we chant a Japa retreat. Even if you're by yourself, to look at it like that. It's like, now I'm going to retreat from everything else and surround yourself with the paraphernalia that you need to make it a Japa retreat. Do your own Japa retreat and make each day count. Make Japa great again. Okay, one more from this side. Who gets the last word? Kalyani.
Hare Krishna. So for me, adding on to Gita Priya's point, I think the forest meditation really helped me, that topic, because a lot of times I get distracted without even realizing it. So I think it was really helpful to first become aware that yes, I am getting distracted, and then making myself more present and kind of forcing myself to be here. So thank you so much for that, Maharaj.
And that's much to the point. It's I noticed that youth around the world, everywhere I go, it's not so hard to get into kirtan. I mean, who doesn't want to get into kirtan? There's this, you got the bass going with the drum, and then you've got exhilaration, and then there's tune, and then everything, and everyone's together lifting up everyone else, and you can walk into it. You keep in mind that Prabhupada mandated for everybody that at least 16 rounds a day.